The hidden key to his heart. How to make him open up, trust you, and share everything. Have you ever felt like he's holding something back? Like no matter how much you ask, how much you try, he just won't open up? You sense that there's something deeper, something unspoken beneath the surface. But every attempt to reach it only pushes him further away. This isn't just about relationships, it's about the nature of human connection itself. Why do people hesitate to reveal their true selves? Why do some walls seem impossible to break through? The reality is, vulnerability isn't something that can be forced, it must be nurtured. It requires an environment where trust outweighs fear, where curiosity replaces accusation, and where silence is allowed to work its magic rather than being rushed away. If you truly want to understand what's going on beneath the surface, you need to rethink how you approach communication. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding human nature, the psychology of trust, and the hidden dynamics that determine whether someone feels safe enough to be vulnerable. At Practical Philosophy, we explore these ideas through timeless wisdom and modern psychology. We break down barriers in relationships, not by demanding honesty, but by fostering an environment where truth emerges naturally. If you want to break through emotional walls, if you want to hear the truth that's been buried beneath silence, then you need to master these 4 game-changing strategies. Subscribe to Practical Philosophy for more deep insights into human nature, emotional intelligence, and the power of self-awareness in relationships. 1. Safety over interrogation. No one, man, woman, or child, reveals their raw, unfiltered truth in an environment where they feel judged, attacked, or unsafe. That's not manipulation, that's psychology. Men, in particular, are conditioned to protect themselves. If they sense criticism, if they feel a conversation is turning into an interrogation, their natural instinct is to retreat. It's not because they don't care. And it's not always because they're hiding something, it's because they're wired for self-preservation. So if you want the truth, you have to create psychological safety. That means resisting the urge to react emotionally when he hesitates. It means listening more than you speak. It means asking questions that allow him to untangle his thoughts instead of feeling trapped. Imagine this. You ask him why he's been distant. He hesitates. Maybe he shrugs, mutters, "I don't know," and looks away. In that moment, you have 2 choices. You can react with frustration. You always do this. You never open up. Or, you can create a space where he actually feels safe enough to explore his own emotions. I get that. Sometimes it's hard to put feelings into words. But I'm here. I want to understand. That shift is monumental. Instead of forcing him to defend himself, you invite him to step forward. You offer him something rare, the chance to be seen without judgment. The reason most people fail in communication isn't because they lack the ability to listen. It's because they lack the ability to listen without judgment. Our minds are conditioned to analyze, interpret, and react instantly. We hear something we don't like, and our defenses go up. We're wired to protect ourselves just as much as he is. But real connection happens when you break that cycle. The moment you make it clear that you're not trying to attack him, that you genuinely want to understand, he will start lowering his walls. And that's the first step toward real vulnerability. 2. Stop pushing. Start inspiring. Most people, when faced with emotional resistance, push harder. They demand. They criticize. They escalate. And what does that do? It reinforces the belief that it's safer to stay silent. That talking only leads to arguments. That opening up will only result in more conflict, feeding the deep-rooted fear of vulnerability that many people, especially men, carry throughout their lives. The key is not to demand vulnerability, but to inspire it. A man will only reveal his truest self when he believes that doing so will not result in shame, punishment, or rejection. His resistance is not necessarily a refusal to engage, rather, it's an unconscious defense mechanism designed to protect himself from emotional exposure that might be perceived as weakness. The moment he feels scrutinized or emotionally cornered, his survival instincts activate, and he shuts down. Instead of saying, "Why won't you just tell me the truth? Try this. I feel like there's something on your mind. I want to understand." The difference here is subtle but profound. It shifts the dynamic from confrontation to invitation, from demand to curiosity. This is difficult. It requires patience. It requires you to regulate your own emotions so that you don't react impulsively. But if you can master this, if you can create a space where he feels truly safe, you will be astonished at what he reveals. The truth doesn't emerge through force. It surfaces naturally when there is trust. When the fear of judgment dissipates, and when he feels that his words will not be used against him. The reason this works is because humans are naturally drawn to those who make them feel seen. We all crave understanding, even if we don't realize it. And when you show someone that you're genuinely interested in what's beneath the surface, not just their words, but their emotions, they start to open up in ways they never have before. The key to unlocking emotional depth in any relationship lies in your ability to listen, not just to words, but to hesitation, silence, and the unsaid fears that linger between the lines of every conversation. 3. Silence is pressure, not emptiness. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every pause, every empty space in a conversation with words that are often unnecessary, defensive, or spoken just to alleviate their own discomfort. But if you want the truth, you need to understand something fundamental. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. It is the space in which the truth begins to reveal itself. Imagine a deep ocean. At its surface, waves crash and create noise. But deep beneath, in the stillness, the real depth is found. When you engage in a conversation, especially one that requires emotional honesty, you must create that deep ocean of stillness, where real thoughts, unspoken fears, and buried emotions can surface. When you ask a man a difficult question, one that forces him to confront something real, his first instinct is often to hesitate, to deflect, to shrug it off, not necessarily because he wants to deceive you, but because he hasn't yet articulated the answer to himself. The mind is complex, and people often don't fully process their own emotions until they are given the space to sit with them. And in that moment, most people do the worst possible thing. They jump in. They get impatient. They start filling the space with explanations, accusations, or leading statements that take away the need for him to actually process his own thoughts. Think of it like planting a seed. If you keep digging it up to check if it's growing, it never gets the chance to take root. Silence is the fertile soil where emotional truths take root and begin to grow. If instead, you let the silence linger, if you resist the impulse to rescue him from his own hesitation, something extraordinary happens. That silence becomes unbearable, not in a painful way, but in a way that forces him inward. It makes him examine what he actually thinks, what he actually feels, and in that pressure, the truth emerges. Maybe it's messy, maybe it's incoherent at first, maybe he stumbles through his words like a child learning to walk. But it's real, and real is what you want. Silence is the bridge between thought and expression. It allows for self-reflection, for understanding, and for true emotional connection. Mastering the power of silence in a conversation is like holding a mirror up to someone's inner world. Eventually, they cannot ignore their own reflection, and when they finally speak, you'll hear not rehearsed words or surface-level excuses, but the depth of what truly resides within them. 4. Walk away with certainty, not desperation. The more you chase something, the more it runs from you. The more you beg for honesty, the more you demand vulnerability, the less likely you are to get it. This is the paradox of human relationships. Pursuit often leads to distance, while space invites reflection. If you want honesty, if you want a man to admit what he's been avoiding, then you have to be willing to walk away, not as a game, not as a threat, but as an undeniable statement of self-respect. True connection cannot be forced, it must be chosen. When someone feels the weight of losing something meaningful, it creates a moment of reckoning, an opportunity for clarity, for honesty, for truth to emerge. Because when a person realizes that you are not someone who begs, that you are not someone who tolerates half-truths or emotional distance, they are forced to confront something incredibly uncomfortable, the reality of losing you. This discomfort is not punishment but a mirror, forcing them to question what they truly value. It is in absence that we often recognize the depth of our feelings, the impact of our choices, and the irreplaceability of genuine connection. Most people don't appreciate what they have until they feel its absence. That is the nature of human psychology. When something is always there, Always pushing, always fighting to be heard. It becomes background noise. But when it's gone, when the energy shifts, when the certainty disappears, that absence speaks louder than any argument ever could. The sudden stillness forces an inward look, making them ask themselves questions they might have ignored before. Was I taking this for granted? Did I mistake consistency for complacency? Is this something I am truly willing to lose? And if they don't come forward, if they let you walk away without a second thought, then you have your answer. As painful as that might be, it is far better to know the truth than to waste your life begging for it. The absence of effort reveals the absence of commitment, and while that truth can be hard to face, it is also liberating. It frees you from illusion, from false hope, from investing in someone who is unwilling to invest in you. This is just the beginning. To master the art of true emotional connection, you must go deeper. You must cultivate the kind of self-worth that does not seek validation through pursuit but instead commands respect through presence. Conclusion. The power lies in you. At the heart of every meaningful relationship is a profound truth. The way you show up determines the way others engage with you. The power to inspire trust, honesty, and vulnerability does not come from demanding it. It comes from creating an environment where it can flourish naturally. Understanding the psychology of communication and emotional connection gives you the ability to transform your relationships. Not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. When you cultivate emotional intelligence, patience, and the courage to let go when necessary, you become someone who naturally draws honesty and openness from those around you. This journey is not just about getting someone to open up, it's about deepening the quality of your interactions, the authenticity of your connections, and the strength of your own emotional foundation. The more you understand and apply these principles, the more fulfilling and meaningful your relationships will become. At Practical Philosophy, we are dedicated to helping you unlock the wisdom of human nature, improve self-awareness, and build relationships grounded in truth and mutual respect. If you found this insight valuable, subscribe to our channel and join a community committed to self-growth and deeper understanding. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment where silence led to a breakthrough? Let's continue the conversation and grow together. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Practical Philosophy for more insights into emotional intelligence, psychology, and the art of meaningful relationships. See you in the next one. You must cultivate the kind of self-worth that does not seek validation through pursuit but instead commands respect through presence. If you want to transform the way you communicate, keep reading, because the next section will change everything you thought you knew about relationships.